My daughter said I wasn't her real father after I worked 60-hour weeks to raise her alone. So I took back everything and let her learn. I'm 43, male, a welder who's been raising my daughter Megan, 17, female, alone since she was 8. Her mother, Victoria, decided motherhood wasn't for her and left us for some guy she met at the gym. She didn't want custody. She just wanted her freedom or whatever. Fine by me. Maybe that's why I've spent the last decade covered in metal burns and breathing fumes to make sure the only woman in my life who matters has everything she needs. I still remember the day Victoria left like it was yesterday. She packed 2 suitcases, kissed Megan on the forehead, and told me I was never meant to be tied down. She left her wedding ring on the counter next to a half-eaten bowl of Lucky Charms. Real classy exit, right? Megan spent 2 weeks asking when Mommy was coming home. I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out how to be both parents while working 60-hour weeks at the fabrication shop. The first year was brutal. I'm talking cereal for dinner because I'm the worst cook. I tried to braid hair with these massive scarred hands and showed up to parent-teacher conferences still smelling like metal shavings. But we figured it out. We had to. For the past 9 years, I've rebuilt our lives from scratch. I'm not wealthy by any means. I make decent money for a tradesman, around $65,000 with all the overtime I can handle. But I made sure Megan had everything she needed, and then some. She went to Westfield Academy at $32,000 a year, where all the doctors and lawyers' kids go, while I was welding truck frames together. I even got her a BMW 3 Series for her 16th birthday, a gaming PC that cost more than my first car, summer camps, private tutors, dance lessons, you name it. Not because I'm swimming in cash, but because I prioritized her over literally everything else in my life. My buddy Rick at the shop always jokes that my daughter lives like a CEO's kid. He's not wrong. My foreman gave me all the overtime I could handle. Night shifts, weekend shifts, holiday shifts. I took them all. Every extra dollar went straight to Megan's future. I've worked so many double shifts that the night cleaning crew knows me by name. Miguel, the night janitor, brings me tamales his wife makes because he says I'm too skinny. Hard to argue when your work pants need a belt to stay up and you're buying clothes from the clearance rack at Walmart. My daily routine became work, Megan's activities, helping with homework, sleep, repeat. Dating? Forget about it. Who has time? Plus, bringing random women around a kid seemed like asking for trouble. My foreman Tony keeps trying to set me up with his sister-in-law. She's only slightly crazy, he says. Just keyed one guy's car, not 2. Thanks, but hard pass. The sacrifices were real. I drive a truck with 2 10,000 miles that I bought used 3 years ago. The AC died last summer, but fixing it would cost $800 I didn't have because Megan needed new dance costumes. Meanwhile, Megan's classmates are getting dropped off in Teslas and talking about their family ski trips to Aspen. But I never complained. I never made her feel guilty about it. She deserved better than what Victoria and I could give her together. It was just the 2 of us against the world for almost a decade. Things were good, not perfect. She's a teenager, so there were arguments about curfews, grades slipping sometimes when she got distracted by social media, the usual stuff. But we had a solid relationship. She'd tell me about her day while I cooked dinner. We'd watch movies on Friday nights. She'd even help me with small projects around the house. At least that's what I thought. 3 weeks ago, Victoria suddenly decided she wanted back in Megan's life. She just showed up out of nowhere after 9 years of birthday cards with $20 bills and occasional holiday visits where she'd take Megan shopping for a few hours, then disappear again. This time she brought her husband Bradley, a personal trainer who drives a leased Maserati, wears tank tops in 50-degree weather because apparently his biceps need to breathe year-round. That type of guy. I'm talking about the kind of dude who says bro in every sentence and has a different protein shake for each day of the week. He probably spends more on his hair products than I do on groceries for a month. His Instagram is full of shirtless workout videos and motivational quotes he definitely didn't write himself. Victoria is all over his page too, posing in yoga pants and sports bras, holding products with discount codes. Use Bradley Fit 20 for 20% off. Real inspiring stuff. The guy's 35 years old, never been married before. Victoria, no kids of his own. He owns a fitness consulting business, which, as far as I can tell, means he trains 3 middle-aged women who want to lose their divorce weight and sells supplements to teenagers on TikTok. But he's got the look, you know? Fake tan, perfect teeth, designer everything. Megan started spending weekends with them. I didn't fight it. She deserves to know her mom, right? I figured a few weekends wouldn't hurt. Maybe having a woman's influence would be good for her at this age. My neighbor, Mrs. Gonzalez, who's been like a grandmother to Megan since Victoria left, warned me to be careful. That woman didn't want the hard years. She just wanted the glory years. I should have listened to that lady. I noticed the changes slowly at first. Megan started coming home with new clothes, expensive stuff, $200 jeans, designer purses, shoes that cost more than my monthly truck payment. She began talking about followers and engagement rates like she was running a Fortune 500 company instead of being a 17-year-old with homework to do. She started making comments about our house being basic and my truck being embarrassing. Our house isn't much. A 1-200 FT ranch I bought right after the divorce. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a small yard, but it's clean. It's ours, and the mortgage is manageable. I've kept it in good shape, fixing everything myself when it breaks. New roof 2 years ago. Redid the kitchen cabinets last winter. It's not Instagram-worthy, but it's home. Then Megan started talking about how Bradley and Victoria lived in a high-rise apartment with a view of the city, and a doorman who knew their names. Apparently, it's a luxury building downtown with a gym, pool, and valet parking. The comments got more frequent. "Dad, why don't you dress better? Dad, Bradley says image is everything in today's world. Dad, maybe you should think about upgrading your truck." Each comment felt like a paper cut, small on its own, but they add up. Last Sunday, Megan came home from a weekend with them, and I could tell something was different. She had this weird energy, like she'd been rehearsing a speech. I was in the kitchen trying to fix our sink, which decided Sunday was a good day to leak all over the cabinet I refinished last summer. When she dropped this gem on me, "I've been thinking you're not really my father." Like, not my real father. Bradley gets me better. I just stared at her, thinking I must have heard wrong. Maybe all those welding fumes had finally fried my brain. "Mom says I can live with them full-time after I turn 18. Bradley's going to help me become an influencer." "I'm not your real father?" I repeated, still holding the pipe wrench I'd been using to tighten the fitting under the sink. "You know what I mean? Biologically, yeah, obviously, but Bradley is more of a father figure. He doesn't lecture me about grades and college applications. He actually supports my dreams and sees my potential." "Your dreams of being an influencer?" I set the wrench down on the counter, fighting the urge to throw it through our TV. "See? You're doing it right now." This dismissive attitude. Bradley says I have natural charisma and camera presence. He says I could make 6 figures by the time I'm 20 if I build my platform right. He knows people in the industry. He has connections. I nodded slowly, feeling something cold settle in my chest. 9 years of overtime shifts, burned hands, missed sleep, and ramen dinners flashed before my eyes. 9 years of never missing a school event, helping with homework until midnight, worrying about every cough and fever. 9 years of putting her first, always. "Okay," I said, my voice probably too calm. "If I'm not your real father, then I have no real obligations. I'll stop the private school payments tomorrow. Your car is going back to the dealer since it's in my name. Your college fund? Well, that's for my daughter, and apparently that's not you." The color drained from her face. "Dad, wait. Nah, it's Joseph now, or sir, since I'm just a sperm donor now." That was Sunday, the day I realized I'd spent 9 years raising someone who could throw it all away for a guy with biceps and empty promises. By Wednesday, everything had completely imploded. Monday morning, first thing, I called Westfield Academy and explained I was withdrawing financial support effective immediately. The admin lady sounded like she'd heard this exact scenario before. "Rich people problems, except I'm not rich. Mr. Reeves, this is highly unusual mid-semester," she said in that tone private school administrators use when they think you're being difficult. "We'll need written notice, and there may be financial obligations through the end of the semester. So is finding out you're not someone's real father after 9 years. Seems like we're both having unusual days. Email me whatever forms you need." They gave Megan 5 days to find alternative funding or she'd be out. Then I called the BMW dealership and explained the situation to the guy. He was understanding. "Yeah, if it's in your name and you're making payments, you can absolutely take it back. Want me to send a tow truck?" I listed it on Carvana instead and got $28,000 for it. Decent for a year-old car that cost me $42,000 new. I'm not even thinking about what to do with the money yet, though. My coworker Pete suggested a vacation somewhere tropical with room service. Pete's been divorced 3 times, so I'm thinking his advice belongs in the garbage along with his 3 marriage certificates. The next call was to the insurance company. I removed her from my policy. I called Verizon and downgraded her unlimited plan to basic, 2 GB of data, and limited texting. I canceled the credit card I let her use for emergencies that somehow always included Starbucks runs and online shopping sprees. It's amazing how quickly you can dismantle a teenager's life of luxury. It took me 9 years to build it, and just 9 phone calls to tear it down. On Monday afternoon, Megan came home from school sobbing, not the fake tears I've seen her use to get out of trouble before, but full-on ugly crying that reminded me of when she was 10 and her goldfish died. "Dad," the school called me to the office during 3rd period. They said, "You're not paying anymore." Everyone was staring. "I have SETs next month. I can't switch schools now. Talk to your real father about it." "This is insane. You're ruining my entire life over one comment." "One comment," I shot back. "You said I'm not your real father. Real fathers pay for school. I'm just some dude who fed and housed you for 9 years. I worked double shifts until my back gave out, missed family gatherings and social events because you had recitals or games. But hey, no big deal, right? I'm sure Bradley will cover your tuition with all those Instagram sponsorships." She stormed off to her room, slamming the door hard enough to shake the family photos on the wall. Photos I might as well take down now. What's the point of pretending we're still a family when she's made it clear I'm just the backup plan? On Tuesday, Victoria started blowing up my phone. 47 texts between 6 a.m. and lunch. I'm not exaggerating. I counted while eating my sandwich in the break room, nearly choking at the escalating desperation. Here's a sample of the greatest hits. "WTF is wrong with you? You can't just abandon your daughter. This is emotional abuse. I'm calling the police. Bradley's lawyer cousin says this is illegal, and you'll be forced to pay. Megan is traumatized. She cried all night. You're destroying her future because you're jealous of Bradley." Each message was more hysterical than the last. Funny how she wasn't concerned about Megan being traumatized when she walked out 9 years ago to chase her fitness influencer dreams. Guess trauma only counts when it affects her current plans. I responded exactly once. She has a real father figure now. Ask Bradley to cover it. I'm sure a Maserati payment can be delayed for education. Maybe he can sell some of his tank top collection. Wednesday morning, things got really entertaining. Victoria showed up at my workplace. My buddy Rick texted me, "Crazy alert at the front office." 5 minutes later, security had to escort her out. She was screaming about lawsuits, about how I'm destroying Megan's future, and how Bradley can't afford private school because he's building his business and investing in their future together. So sculpting abs and selling protein powder to teenagers doesn't pay what he used to. Who could have possibly guessed? My boss, Harold, a 60-year-old guy who's seen everything in his 4 decades running the shop, watched the whole spectacle from his office window. After she left, he walked over and said, "That's your ex?" I nodded, welding mask still flipped up, sweat dripping down my face from working near the furnace all morning. He patted my shoulder and said, "Stand your ground, brother. My second wife tried to take my fishing boat in the divorce. Now my third wife enjoys it every weekend." Solid advice from a man who collects marriages like I collect burn scars. But he's not wrong about standing my ground. Wednesday night, Megan tried a completely different approach. She cooked dinner, the first time in 2 years, cleaned her room without being asked, and even set the table with the good plates we never use. Then she sat me down for what was obviously a rehearsed heart-to-heart. Mrs. Gonzalez had warned me this was coming when I got home from work. First, they'll try anger. Then they'll try sweet. Don't fall for either one. That girl's been coached. The dinner was spaghetti with burnt meat. The garlic bread was burnt on one side, perfect on the other. But she tried. I'll give her that much. I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it the way it came out. You're my real dad. You've always been there for me, and I took that for granted. This sudden realization has nothing to do with losing your car at school, right? I asked. I mean, those things made me realize how much you actually do for me that I never thought about. I see that now, and I'm genuinely sorry. So if I restore everything tomorrow, we're good? You won't pull this stuff again? You won't decide next month that Bradley understands you better? I promise, Dad. I'll never say anything like that again. I was confused. Mom and Bradley filled my head with all this stuff about opportunities and potential in my future. And when Bradley buys you a Maserati for graduation, when Mom offers you a room in their penthouse, what then? She couldn't look me in the eye. Kids can be a lot of things, but she's not a good liar. Never has been. That's different. Get out of my sight, Megan. She pushed her chair back so hard it fell over, then ran to her room crying again. The problem is, she thinks she can pull the same tricks at 17 that worked when she was 7. But I'm not that soft anymore. Thursday was the deadline for the school payment. Megan had been alternating between rage, tears, and love bombing all week. She even offered to make my lunch for work, something she hasn't done since elementary school. She made me a sandwich, packed some chips, and included a note that said, "I love you, Dad," in her handwriting. It would have been touching if it wasn't so obviously calculated. Victoria had threatened legal action 6 times since Monday. I blocked her number after she called me at work asking for $32,000 to make this right. The absolute nerve of these people thinking I'd just hand over cash like an ATM with legs. Tony from work came over Thursday night to help me fix my truck's alternator. While we worked under the hood, I told him what was happening. He just shook his head. Man, these kids today think parents are ATMs with legs. My nephew's the same way. Calls his dad a loser until he needs money for a new PlayStation. Then suddenly, Dad's his hero again. I sat looking at Megan's college fund statement that night. $127,236. It took me 9 years to save that much, working every piece of overtime I could get, putting away $300 or $500 a month when I could afford it, sometimes less when things were tight. I briefly wondered if I should use it for that motorcycle I've always wanted. Not seriously, of course, but the thought did cross my mind. Tony suggested a bass boat instead. Nothing heals a broken heart like fish that don't talk back. Plus, you can sleep on a boat if you need to get away from all this drama. Yeah, thanks for the idea, Tony. Friday was the school's final deadline. Megan stayed home sick. The first time she'd missed school all year except for legitimate reasons. The kid was in full panic mode, rotating between her mom's place and mine every few hours, trying to broker some kind of deal or compromise. I went to work anyway. Metal doesn't weld itself, and my bills don't care about teenage drama. We had a rush order for farm equipment that needed to be done by Monday. Around noon, my phone exploded with texts from Mrs. Gonzalez. "There's a fancy white car and 2 others in your driveway. Big commotion. Want me to run the garden hose by their open windows?" God bless that woman. 82 years old and still ready to throw down for the people she cares about. She's been watching out for us since Victoria left, bringing over food when she thinks I'm not eating enough, and keeping an eye on Megan when I have to work late. I came home for lunch to find Victoria there with reinforcements. Her sister Gabriella and, you guessed it, not Bradley's mother, Rosa. Rosa is this 65-year-old woman who apparently thinks her son walks on water. She was wearing enough jewelry to stock a small pawn shop. The 3 of them were set up in my living room like some kind of intervention committee. Victoria looked frazzled. Gabriella was trying to play peacemaker, and Rosa sat there like she owned the place. The moment I walked in, Rosa started lecturing me. "In our family, we don't abandon children over words. Family is everything. My Bradley would never. Your Bradley told my daughter he'd be a better father but won't pay for her school. He's got at least a Maserati but can't cover a teenager's tuition. Real men provide. They don't just flex for Instagram." Gabriella jumped in, trying to be the voice of reason. "Look, everyone's emotions are running high. You're being petty, though. Megan is still a child. She made one mistake. She's 17. In 8 months, she's legally an adult. Father, you're old enough to deal with the consequences. This isn't just some petty issue. This is what growing up looks like, something apparently nobody in your family understands." Victoria tries the waterworks. Her friends are all at Westfield. Her whole social life revolves around it. You're ruining her senior year over hurt feelings. Nah, Megan trashed it when she decided Bradley was her real father figure. I'm just realigning my financial priorities. Maybe I'll finally buy work boots without holes in them. That's when the piece of work showed up. Bradley himself, rolling up in his white Maserati. "Bro, we need to talk man to man," he says. Like we're buddies who go way back instead of me being the guy whose family he helped destroy. "Sure thing, champ. You got $32,000 lying around?" "Listen, bro, what Megan said was out of line. I get that. But you're taking it too personally. Kids say dumb stuff all the time. They don't mean half of it. Adults deal with the consequences. You wanted to be her father figure. Congratulations. Now figure it out. I'm building my brand, bro. I have 3 clients launching a supplement line next month. This is just temporary until then. You can't afford to be anyone's father figure. Leave my property before I decide my welder's torch needs practice on Italian leather seats. His face changed then. Less fake smile. More genuine confusion that someone wasn't buying his act. You're really going to hurt your own daughter to get back at her mother? I'm teaching my daughter that words have consequences. They all left after more arguing and threats. Rosa was yelling about lawyers. Gabriella said, "You'd regret this." Victoria was crying about Megan's future. Bradley just looked confused that his charm offensive hadn't worked. Saturday morning, Megan went completely nuclear. She posted a long Instagram story about how I'm an abusive narcissist who can't handle rejection. She tagged half the town, extended family, my coworkers, her classmates, everyone. Added a crying selfie for extra dramatic effect. 1 to 200 likes, 300 plus comments within a few hours. But here's the thing about social media. People aren't as dumb as you think. The comments were comedy gold. Girl said he wasn't her real dad and got Thanos snapped, played stupid games, won stupid prizes. My dad would have just taken my door off the hinges. This is elite level. So your stepdad who drives a Maserati can't pay for school, but your abusive dad did for years? Make it make sense. Rick from work texted me. Just saw your daughter's post. Half the shop is talking about it. Want me to tell her about the time you worked 36 hours straight to pay for her emergency dental work? Nah, let her figure it out herself. These kids, man. My son didn't talk to me for a year after I wouldn't buy him a car at 15. Now he needs money for college. And suddenly I'm dad of the year again. But Victoria's side of the family came out swinging. My phone was blowing up with messages from her relatives calling me heartless, saying I'm traumatizing a child, that I should be ashamed of myself. These are people who never offered to help when I was struggling to make ends meet as a single dad, who never volunteered to babysit or contribute to school expenses. Now suddenly they all had opinions. Mrs. Gonzalez brought over a casserole that evening and said, "Let them talk. You and I know the truth. You were here every day while they were posting vacation photos on Facebook. Actions speak louder than Instagram captions." My brother Carlos texted me around 10 p.m. Saw Megan's post. Want me to comment and set the record straight? Nah, let her cook. She made this mess. She can deal with it. By the way, I'm unfollowing her. Kids being spoiled punks. Mom and dad would be rolling in their graves seeing how she's acting. Sunday morning brought the real comedy show. Megan got officially withdrawn from Westfield and had to enroll at Jefferson High for her senior year. It's actually a decent public school, good test scores, solid college prep programs, but to her it might as well have been prison. No more heated swimming pool for PE class, no more organic lunch options, no more meditation garden, just regular lockers, fluorescent lighting, and cafeteria food that comes from the same distributor as every other public school in the state. Welcome to How the Other 99% Lives, Princess. She barges into my room at 7 a.m. I have to go to Jefferson High. Do you know what kids from Westfield call it? Jefferson Juvenile Hall. My reputation is ruined. Sounds like a personal problem. Maybe Bradley can homeschool you between protein shakes and photo shoots. I won't get into Columbia now. My whole academic record is compromised. The college counselor at Jefferson probably went to community college. Talk to your real father about it. Maybe he knows someone in admissions at Columbia. Abs open a lot of doors, I hear. Stop saying that. You're my father. No, I'm not. Your words, not mine. I'm just the ATM that's now permanently closed for business. But Sunday afternoon brought the best plot twist yet. I received a call from my lawyer friend Keith. We go way back. I welded a custom motorcycle frame for him 5 years ago when he was going through his midlife crisis. He handles my legal stuff when I need it, which isn't often. He's laughing so hard he can barely talk. Dude, you're not going to believe this. Your ex actually tried to file some kind of emergency custody modification, claiming you're financially abusing Megan. What? How is cutting off money considered abuse? I'm not legally required to provide. That's exactly what Judge Morrison asked her. She wanted the court to force me to pay for private school tuition. The judge looked at the filing like she was reading a joke and said, "Ma'am, your daughter is 17 years old and private school isn't a legal necessity. This case is dismissed." What did she say to that? She started crying in court. Big mistake with Morrison. He hates theatrics. She tried to say I was punishing my daughter to get back at her. The judge shut that down fast, saying something like, "Sounds like natural consequences for disrespectful behavior to me. Maybe the girl will learn something." I love Judge Morrison. It gets better. Her lawyer tried to argue that I was legally obligated to maintain the same standard of living I'd established. Morrison laughed and said, "Show me the law that says divorced fathers have to fund private school for kids who insult them." That evening, around 11 p.m., I found a folded piece of paper slipped under my bedroom door. "Dad, I messed up." "I know I messed up. Mom and Bradley have been filling my head with stuff about how you're holding me back, how you're too strict, how I could be more without your rules and expectations. I believed them because I wanted to believe them. I guess I wanted to think there was an easier way. I see now that Bradley can't even afford his own car lease. It's in Mom's name. Mom lives in a one-bedroom apartment and sleeps on a pull-out couch because Bradley uses the bedroom for his home gym. They sold me dreams they can't afford and don't even have themselves. I'm not asking for Westfield back. I know that bridge is burned. I'm just asking for you to be my dad again. The real one. The only one who was actually there." I kept the note and read it twice. I'm still thinking about my response. Tony suggested I frame it and hang it on her wall as a constant reminder. Not the worst idea I've heard. When I showed it to Mrs. Gonzalez the next morning, she just nodded and said, "The girl finally opened her eyes. Sometimes you have to lose everything to see what was right in front of you the whole time." This morning, Victoria sent one final text. "You won. Hope you're happy." Megan cried all night. "Very," I replied. After the note, I let Megan stew for a couple of days. The kid was walking around the house like a ghost, barely eating, coming straight home from her new school instead of hanging out with friends. No Instagram posts for 3 days straight, practically a miracle for a teenager. She even cleaned the kitchen without being asked twice. That's when I knew she was genuinely sorry, not just sorry she got caught. Mrs. Gonzalez stopped by Tuesday with more food. "Seriously, this woman must think I'm wasting away," and gave me her wisdom. The girl learned her lesson. Don't torture her too much longer. She's your daughter. Easy for her to say. Not her kid, not her $32,000, not her 9 years of sacrifice getting thrown back in her face. But Mrs. Gonzalez has been right about most things over the years, so I took her advice under consideration. Megan spent Tuesday night working on homework at the kitchen table, instead of being locked in her room scrolling through social media. She didn't ask for help with her calculus, even though I could see her struggling. She didn't complain about the public school's heavier workload or less personalized attention. She just quietly worked until almost midnight, then cleaned up after herself and went to bed. Wednesday afternoon, I finally sat her down. "Let's talk about your note." She immediately started crying, real ugly snot bubble crying that would make her followers unfollow immediately. The kind of crying that comes from actually understanding what you've lost. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I ruined everything. I'm so stupid. I just wanted to know my mom better." And she made it sound like you were the bad guy, like you were the reason she left in the first place. I replied, "Your mom left because she met Bradley at the gym and decided being a mother was too boring. That's it. She said you were controlling, that you wouldn't let her pursue her dreams of building her brand. Her dream was to be a fitness influencer. She had 200 followers and spent our mortgage money on supplements she never sold. But sure, I was the bad guy. I had a problem with wanting to pay rent and buy groceries instead of funding her fantasy." Thursday brought the nuclear news. Apparently Bradley got arrested. Turns out Mr. Maserati was running a supplement scam, selling fake pre-workout powder as pharmaceutical grade to his clients. One of them, a 19-year-old kid trying to bulk up for football, ended up in the hospital with heart palpitations. When the cops searched Bradley's apartment, they found $50,000 worth of counterfeit products in his closet, along with steroids and other stuff he definitely wasn't selling at the local GNC. Rick texted me the news article with a caption that read, "Karma as a bee." Victoria called me around 6 p.m., absolutely losing her mind. "This is your fault. If you hadn't been so petty about Megan, I wouldn't have pressured Bradley about money. So your guy commits fraud and it's my fault? Olympic-level gymnastics there, Victoria. You should compete professionally." "I need money for his bail," she said. I laughed and suggested she ask his mother. She seems to think he's perfect. Maybe she can sell some of those gems she wears. Friday was senior skip day at Jefferson High, but Megan went anyway. She came home and said, "It's actually not that bad. The kids are more real, less pretentious. This one girl, Zoe, she's in my AP calculus class. Her dad works at the steel mill. Yeah, she said she saw my Instagram post and told me I was an entitled brat who deserved what I got. Sounds like a smart girl. You should listen to her. I think we might be friends. She doesn't care about followers or whatever. She wants to be an engineer." She already has scholarship applications ready. Focus on graduation first, princess. I know, Dad, I know. Saturday, the doorbell rang at 8 Rubaye. It was Rosa, Bradley's mom, Gabriella, Victoria's sister, and Victoria. They wanted to make peace. Mrs. Gonzalez was watching from her window, phone in hand, ready to call me if she thought I needed backup. The woman's like my personal security detail. I was standing there in boxers and a robe, coffee in hand, all ready over this whole situation. Rosa started, "My son is in jail because of this situation. You've destroyed 2 families." I replied, "Your son is in jail because he's a criminal. That's on him." Gabriella chimed in, "Megan needs stability. You should at least give her car back." I said, "I'll buy her a used Honda when she graduates. If she graduates with over a 3.5 GPA, unlike some people, I expect effort for rewards." Victoria looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Please, I know I screwed up. I know I said horrible things, but Megan shouldn't suffer because of a word or because I'm an idiot." I said, "You're right. That's why she's suffering. She made her choice. Better she learns now that words have consequences." They left after more screaming. Victoria is now living with Gabriella since Bradley's apartment is a crime scene. Tony said it's the best karma story he's heard since his ex-wife's boyfriend crashed her car. Sometimes the universe handles things better than we ever could. Sunday, Megan and I went to get her stuff from Westfield. The kid was obviously embarrassed, but she handled it and kept her head high. Her teachers didn't make a scene. Her ex-best friend Brittany actually stopped her to say, "I heard what happened. You kind of deserved it, but I'm sorry it went down like that." On the drive home, Megan said, "Dad, I've been thinking about college." I gripped the steering wheel tighter, waiting for the next bomb. I don't think Kolaya is realistic anymore. Even with my grades, Westfield was my edge. But Jefferson has a good engineering program, with a partnership with state. Maybe I could do 2 years at community, then transfer. I nearly crashed the car. "You're considering community college? What happened to being an influencer?" She replied, "Zoe's doing community college. Says it's smart financially. Her parents make good money but have 3 kids. She's paying her own way and she already has an internship lined up for summer. She says it's all about skills and work ethic, not where your diploma comes from." This Zoe sounds like a good person. "Can I still use my college fund for state or community?" I said, "That money is for your education. Always was. But you're getting a job this summer and you're paying for your own gas and insurance when you get that Honda. Deal." "Dad, are we good?" I replied, "We're getting there, kid. We're getting there." This morning, I woke up to Megan making breakfast again. The eggs were runny and the bacon was burnt, but she tried. She's at school now, probably trying to impress this Zoe girl with her newfound humility. Mrs. Gonzalez stopped by with coffee and just nodded approvingly. The girl is coming around. Victoria's been quiet since Bradley's bail was denied. Apparently, he's looking at 3 to 5 years. His lawyer tried to argue that he didn't know the supplements were dangerous, but the judge wasn't buying it. She posted some cryptic stuff about knowing who your real friends are and rising from the ashes. "Sure, Jan, rise. I'm away on someone else's dime this time. As for me, I'm looking at motorcycles this weekend. I'm not going to buy one, though. That college fund is still for Megan, but a man can dream. Rick says we should take a welding job in Alaska next summer. 3 months of work for a year's pay. It's tempting, but we'll see." To everyone who said I went too far, my kid learned that actions have consequences. She learned that you shouldn't disrespect the people who love you for those who just talk a good game. She learned that real support isn't just hype and promises. It's about showing up every single day.